Good evening, dear friends. Oh my goodness, such a joy to be with you. My name is Nicholas Viselli. I am the artistic director of Theater Breaking Through Barriers. And on behalf of all of us here at Theater Breaking Through Barriers, I'd like to cordially welcome you to Theater Breaking Through Barriers' fourth Virtual Playmakers Intensive, or HPI4, Transcendence Approaching. We are coming to you very live right here from the heart of the Thunderdome in Midtown Manhattan. It's really so exciting to be with you. This is sort of when we annually do our intensives, and it's just great to be back on that calendar. Last time we saw you was in the springtime, about 6 months ago. And my goodness, what a difference 6 months make. So much has happened in our world, so much has happened in our society, our culture, and it's so much fun to be able to create work that sort of speaks to or chronicles the times in which we currently find ourselves. One of the joys of doing this project is the fact that it allows us to gather a large group of artists together, many of whom don't even know each other and have never worked together, to randomly pair people into groups and to give them a very limited amount of time to create, rehearse, and perform an original short play. And that is exactly the way our intensive is set up. In October, we gathered about over 50 artists, which included 12 writers, 12 directors, and a lot of actors. And we gave them and everyone was randomly paired. We choose the name of a writer out of a hat, choose the name of a director out of a hat, choose the name of 2 or 3 actors out of a hat, and that becomes one group. And they are charged to create a play. We like to give a little bit of a prompt or an idea for every intensive, for every festival, so that we all have an idea of sort of a general direction. I don't want everyone to write the same play, but just a general thought, which is a good jump off point. I thought the idea of transcendence was a wonderful, sort of a good general idea. And initially, I didn't think of transcendence in the term of like Maharishi Mahesh Yogi or the writings of Emerson or Thoreau or Walcott as transcendentalists, although there are similar themes in all of that, which do apply here. Quest for spiritual enlightenment, for inner peace, for finding strength within self and solitude. I generally thought of it in terms of transcending the times in which we currently live to finding higher ground, to finding a better future, a better tomorrow, hence transcendence. So I look at this as sort of a prompt that can spark hope. But at the same time, it also talks about and comments on the world we live in. I think that one through line you're going to see throughout the entirety of this intensive is a basic through line where you're going to see a lot of artists or plays that sort of question or maybe have a bit of uncertainty to them, but certainly maybe a bit of hope and inspiration as well. So I will say to you, welcome to our intensive. We're going to be doing this every night from tonight until Saturday. We have created 6 plays that were written to be performed live online. That way we can work with artists from wherever they're at, anywhere in the world, through different time zones, which is always a joy. And then on Sunday, the 23rd, we are going to be presenting the live portion, the in-person portion of our intensive. It's all live. But the in-person portion, which will be on Sunday evening, we will present 6 more shows for a total of 12 shows that we've created over the course of this period. And that will be taking place beginning at 6 o'clock, and you will be able to see it all. We're going to simulcast it also online for you. So, but tonight, oh, I am so thrilled with the opening, our first show. Uh, the play was written by Chris Phillips, and I just want to say outright, Chris Phillips is a brilliant writer. I think he's just amazing. He has worked with us several times in the past. I think the first play he wrote for us was back in 2021. At that time, Chris was working, he was living out in Los Angeles, and I found out, much to my personal joy, that he has now moved back here, back east. So now we've got him. And he wrote this really wonderful play called The Torches to Burn Bright. We have a wonderful, wonderful company. Jennifer Bradley directed this. Jennifer's a wonderful actor and also a wonderful director. You're going to get to see her acting chops tomorrow night, but tonight you get to see her as a director. And then we have three wonderful, wonderful actors. We have Rachel Handler, Christopher Hurt, and Anne Phuvan. So I don't want to say any more. I think I've talked more than enough, and we already started late. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, without any further ado, please sit back, relax, and enjoy Christopher Phillips, the torches to burn bright.
Rena, I'm I'm Detective Janet Orlean. I brought this for you. Thought you might.
No, thanks. I've had plenty today. I usually drink like a pot every morning, and with the wedding, I'm wide awake.
Not missing much. We're not known for our brew. My partner, Detective Somerset, will join us momentarily.
Where's my husband?
Fiancé.
Excuse me?
Technically, fiancé. Hadn't got married yet.
We signed the license several weeks ago. City Hall did their thing. I'd say the situation was pretty sewn up, which grants us certain rights.
Ah,
To be clear.
Crystal.
Wedding's a very expensive formality, which you interrupted.
Should we have waited for the getaway? Oh, I'm sorry. Honeymoon car to drive away.
Anyway, you saved me from hours with a frozen smile on my face at the reception.
Is that right?
Yeah, contrary to what reality shows tell us, Detective Orlean, not every woman is dying to play princess. I wanted a marriage, not a wedding. The whole production was more for his family than for us. All that church stuff, not my thing.
And what about your family?
You'd have to ask them. Wasps don't really talk about what people want, just how they look.
And how do you think it looked for your betrothed to get hauled off in the middle of the ceremony?
I imagine it looked pretty bad, and my family's likely mortified.
That amusing to you?
My family's mortification? Absolutely.
And a man getting gunned down in broad daylight. Where does that fall on your amusement scale?
Orlean, Ms. Marshall. I'm Detective Ben Somerset.
It's Mrs. Moretti.
Fine. Mrs. Moretti. I'm in the process of interviewing your husband.
How is he?
Aren't you curious what he's being charged with?
Okay, what is he being charged with, Detective?
Well, perhaps you're familiar with the murder 2 weeks ago of Garrett Johnson, the CEO of Coronet Health.
I'm familiar.
Well, we believe your husband was present at the scene. Know anything about that?
Do I need a lawyer?
You're not under arrest.
That's not what I asked. Was a lawyer present when you questioned my husband?
Well, I'm not sure what difference it would have made. Your husband refuses to say anything at all.
You use a prosthetic leg, correct?
Use? Like whenever I feel like it?
And you're insured by Coronet. Isn't that correct?
Do you mean, do I pay premium after premium after premium for years and years and years, and then when I actually need it, they do everything they can to not cover the bills? Yeah, I was insured by Coronet.
How did you lose your leg?
What on earth does that have to do with my... Okay, I was driving home from a dance my junior year of high school. My boyfriend was driving, we were in his car. And there's this one place in the road going back from high school to my parents' house. It's not even a mile between. And there's this one place where there's a big curve. And a drunk driver coming the wrong direction just didn't take the curve. Head on. My boyfriend was killed on impact, and I...
I'm sorry.
No, don't do that. You asked me a question and I answered it. I did not ask you to feel sorry for me.
Okay.
Pity sucks.
I don't.
And I'm not helpless.
I didn't say you were.
Helpless is different. Helpless is when you are unable to offer any help. Helpless is, for instance, your mother dying of a particularly brutal form of colon cancer, and all you can do is watch. Helpless is having to pay off a steady stream of medical bills after your mother dies because your father's been laid off and insurance won't cover those bills due to some gotcha technical whatever you couldn't understand if they drew you a map. Helpless is falling in love with someone and wanting to spend your life taking care of each other. But even with two incomes, you're still living paycheck to paycheck with insurance premiums for you and your spouse skyrocketing thanks to a Congress that axes healthcare subsidies so some rich assholes can get a tax cut. And there's nothing you can do about any of that. That's helpless, detective.
Did you just give us your husband's motive, Mrs. Moretti?
What I gave you, detective, is a hypothetical. And it's one that could apply to just about any American who isn't a billionaire. Here's something amusing that you didn't know. Insurance companies can choose to pay for only one prosthetic leg in a lifetime.
Is that right?
Never mind how a body changes when you age, or that prosthetics wear out, or a better prosthetic might be created. It's like saying you can only wear one pair of jeans for the rest of your life.
I'm
Orlean, can I speak to you outside? What are you doing?
What do you mean? What am I doing?
It sounds like you're getting hustled in there.
I believe her.
Oh, I do too. And guess what? It doesn't matter. A husband and father of three got blown away in the middle of Columbus Circle.
A husband and father who just paid himself an annual bonus of $3 million, while most of us can barely afford groceries, let alone doctor bills, not to mention anything she's talking about. I'd be pissed too.
Oh, pissed. Doesn't mean you're going to go settle things with a gun.
Of course not.
I get it. Believe me. I've seen all the celebrations and sick jokes on the internet since he got killed. And you think I didn't even feel a little bit like there was some cosmic justice getting done there? Who cares? That's none of our business. That's not how we do things.
Who's we?
Fucking America.
Really? Because from what I've seen the last decade or two, it seems like that's exactly how we do things.
Her husband is not a hero.
Well, he's not a stone cold killer villain either.
This is a pointless argument.
It's all kind of pointless, isn't it?
Oh, give me a fucking break.
Ben, aren't you fed up with this shit?
Oh,
Feeling like we're all private ATMs for people who already have too much? This is why the peasants stormed the Bastille in France.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Have you ever looked in the eyes of someone who didn't have anything left to lose?
Every goddamn day. Welcome to the job. Now, Janet, our role isn't to decide whether there was any justification for it or any justice done. Our role is to find the guy who did it. And we've done that. Whether he speaks another word for the rest of his pathetic life, we know he's the guy. What we think of what he did or who he did it to doesn't matter. You either believe violence is a solution or you don't. If you apply a law selectively, that's not a law. Now look, I got to get back to him. See if you can get anything else out of her, hypothetical or otherwise. Play good cop.
I don't even know what the hell that means anymore.
Turn off the noise. Ugh. There is so much fucking noise.
Your partner seems like a just the facts kind of guy.
He's a good man.
Hmm. How much longer am I going to be here?
I don't know. Would you like me to get you a change of clothes or
No. Today's the only day I get to wear this. I might as well enjoy it.
okay, well, you look great.
Thanks.
You know, all of us have felt anger. Anyone who's been marginalized or set apart, whatever you want to call it. I'm just saying, I understand. I understand the feelings, even if I don't know the exact experience.
I thought empathy was a liability these days.
Maybe for some people, but not for me. It doesn't mean that I still won't do my job. Did he know? Did you know what he was going to do?
That sounds like a question a lawyer would advise me not to answer.
Do you want a lawyer?
Eventually. If, hypothetically, if a person knew what someone did, no matter how crazy, because they loved them, it would be pretty romantic, wouldn't it? Stupid, but romantic. You ever read Romeo and Juliet?
Mm-hmm. High school.
Truth be told, I always thought Romeo was a bit of a twit. Sweet, but a little bit of a twit. Passive, just goes wherever the wind blows. Juliet was the rock star. Active, decisive, knows what she wants. I mean, think about their chosen forms of suicide. Romeo drinks poison, right? But Juliet picks up a knife, plunges it into her heart, makes a decision, and does it. Romeo just lets things happen, slides into nothing. I am fortune's fool, or whatever. But not Juliet. No, fuck that.
Oh. Mrs. Moretti, your husband would like to speak to you.
You're letting me?
I don't see the harm. He's refusing to speak to anyone else, including the attorney we just provided him with.
Okay, then.
Perhaps you can talk some sense into him. Convey the gravity of what's happening here. The officer will take you down.
Damn.
Janet?
Hmm?
What is it?
Nothing. This is just getting started, isn't it?
Well, you know it is.
He's going to plead not guilty, isn't he?
Probably.
What's he like?
Quiet. Small. Doesn't look like a killer.
How do you not take this home to your wife every night?
Years of practice. Compartmentalized. Only way to survive.
Does that make us more or less human? There's no opt-out button, is there?
No.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, I didn't unmute there for a second. I was just kind of like, I love. Oh, I lot to talk about in this play. Let's please, everybody, come on back on, please. Oh, Anne, Rachel, Chris, Christopher Hurt. Oh, Chris Phillips. Where's Jen? Where's our director, Jen Bradley? And Tucker, could you come on too, please? Come on, guys. So such a pleasure. There you go. Hiya, Jen.
Reached out.
Thank you all so much. I have to tell you, I think this is such a great and sort of a powerful way to open up. I mean, and of course, I don't have to tell you how timely it is. There's so much about this that I really I loved and thought it would be a good way to start. So I'd really love to hear a little bit more from all of you about how this whole thing got started and how you came up with this idea, Chris, and what fed into it from the artist. Because I think one thing that I didn't sort of share with the audience, of course, our playwright writes the show, our director directs the show, our actors act in the show. But because of the way this thing comes together, in this project, it's very collaborative. It's very important that the writer talks to the actors and writes for the actors. So ideas come from the artists and the director as well. And so this hopefully gets shaped and formed through this wonderful project that we do. So I think it's so exciting to see, what comes out of it all. And I thought this was hugely successful. Chris, tell me, first of all, how did you come up with this?
Well, I think that the idea for just the questions surrounding the whole, obviously this is inspired by the Luigi Mangione case, and all of the ideas about that were sort of had been kicking around in my head for a while. Not so much like what actually happened, but the public response to it was what was so fascinating to me on both sides. And listening to, people from the family of the man who was killed, to listening to seeing all the online sort of response that people were having to it. And it had kind of been kicking around where I was thinking about it. I wasn't really even thinking about it in terms of writing about it. I was just observing it. And then, like you said, this has been a collaborative process. And when we got our first meeting together where all of us met, we just were all passing around stories. And there was, all kinds of things that got thrown into the mix. There was a lot that, Rachel had talked about in her experience. There was listening to Chris and Anne talk about their experiences. We talked a little bit about Shakespeare. We talked about, just all these things kind of just got thrown into the mix, and I started thinking about the theme about transcendence approaching, and it was like, in a time that can be considered really, really dark, my questions were, which I have in my personal life as well, how do you transcend a lot of these really difficult situations? Like, what is the answer to just shut yourself off from the rest of the world? And because I have some friends that just don't read the news, and I'm like, well, that isn't that's going in the opposite extreme. And it was like, how do you do that? And rather than trying to act like I had any kind of answer to it, I just wanted to write these characters that are questioning all of these things. Like, how do you get past all these really difficult situations and circumstances that we are going through right now? So that's kind of where it kicked it off, but very collaborative in that sense.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I will say to you, although as a theater company, we try to remain as politically neutral as possible
Right.
in the world. I think it's hard to remain politically neutral in a time when like so much is that, like, you're seeing such a great tug of war between class, between the rich, the poor, the haves, the have-nots, et cetera, et cetera. So many things being removed and taken away for whatever reasons. It's really, really challenging. But I find it also provocative, right? I mean, the response to a person taking another person's life should be something of horror, and yet it was met with celebration.
Yeah.
We saw the same thing with Charlie Kirk as well.
Right.
And while however, I mean, there's still something there's a tragedy there that needs to be recognized. At the same time, there's a whole bunch of other tragedies that are occurring that are and not just in this particular case, but through time they occur every day through neglect, through the lack of, which certainly this story talks about. I really I thought it was really wonderful and compelling. And yes, I love the questions that it raises. So thank you for that. Jen, I have to come to you as the director. Tell me, when you read the first draft, when you read Chris's first draft of this piece, tell me what was your initial impression of it?
A little overwhelmed.
Mhm.
I definitely had conversations with Chris about this and the many different ways that the script could go, in terms of who did it, how was it, what are these characters like? And he was wonderful to speak with about this. And as much as I directed the actors, I feel like Chris gave me direction in
Mhm.
kind of where everything was going. Not that it was set or anything,
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought it really dealt with the issue in a really personal way.
Mhm.
It was more than just following the reports of what happened with Luigi Mangione, and it was, here are the people who were involved, or here is the person who's involved, or whatever. And this is more real life.
Mhm.
The person who did this is a real person with real, concerns,
Mhm.
to be light concerns.
Yeah, I think exactly the same. It really sort of opens a case for how, while one person's loss is indeed a tragedy and should never be condoned or celebrated, um, but we don't talk about all of the other multitude of tragedies that occur to so many of us in daily life that no one ever hears about. We have to suffer through and try to deal with and grieve that we don't get the opportunities to be able to to realize that the actions of some have such, in many cases, a detrimental effect for so many others.
Well, I think actually with that we've heard a lot from people about what they've been experiencing and their fears about losing coverage and the prices doubling and what happens if Congress doesn't, extend this, and it's an imbalance in the government, and who's really out for us. And I think in my opinion, I think what happened in this particular situation of the script, to me, it seems like there's, as Rena says, the character, this is what's happening. This is what helpless is. And I feel like I've heard that a lot of times. And for some reason, it can get bumped to the side in favor of juicy little sound bites or quick little, you're evil, or, whatever. And I think when you have someone who, some people, you push them and you push them and you push them and you put a lid on them and they blow. And I don't think in this situation, Rena or her husband did this because they've all grown up wanting to do this. I think this was a reaction to a lack of feeling like they're heard, feeling like they're talking to air. And yeah.
Agreed. I think so too. So let's start with you, Rachel. I want to know your first impression of this, and then I know you contributed a lot because you are doing a documentary on insurance, and particularly for people with disabilities, people who are amputees, etc. I know that there's a lot of things that you were able to share that are actual facts. They are not made up for the sake of the drama. They are real facts. Tell me your impression of when you first read this, and then if you'd like to share some of that as well, it'd be great.
Oh my gosh, I was so excited when I read this because it just is such an important topic right now. Health insurance, health insurance. It's why the government shutdown was the longest government shutdown in not human history, but in our country's history. So it's a topic that I'm so passionate about. So I'm very grateful to Chris and Jennifer for bringing this story to life with us. And while I don't condone murder, I also don't condone murder by policy. And that's what these policy changes are doing. They are killing disabled people and non-disabled people at alarming rates. Just to throw some numbers out, because I am working on a documentary right now, we have trillion-dollar cuts happening to Medicaid. This is the life-saving insurance for our most vulnerable citizens. We are not, well, I shouldn't say not, but we may not be extending the subsidies under the Affordable Care Act. That means 22 million Americans may not be able to afford health insurance next year.
Yep.
So what do they do? Where do they go? This means more medical debt, which now is going to be allowed on your credit statement, on your credit report. This is the slow murder of Americans, and many don't even realize it yet. So this story speaks volumes to me, and I'm really glad to bring it to life.
Yeah. Well, it's one. I thank you, and I think you're wonderful, and I think that it's absolutely very true in so many ways. It is very true. I mean, you had mentioned that there was a fact mentioned here that if a person who requires a prosthetic limb, some insurance companies will only cover one limb for that person's entire lifetime.
Yes, so that's in New York State specifically, which
Mhm.
boggles my mind. It says you can have one prosthetic device per limb per lifetime with coverage for repairs and replacements, but that language is very restrictive and actually doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
So I'm working with the Department of Health right now to try to change that language with my local assemblyman and senator. And
Mhm.
it's a big learning curve because I never thought I'd get involved in government policies, but I feel like that's where we are now. And because I wear a prosthetic leg, and because this might be on my health insurance next year, I'm trying to change it. And that's a big part of my documentary as well.
Yeah. So these policies were clearly written by people who had no need or use for a prosthetic in their lives, and it's the way it always is, right? It's always the
Yeah.
policies are created by people who don't know and don't really care unless it happens to them. And then, you know, and if you happen to be in that position where you're creating the laws, you usually don't really need the insurance. You can afford to do however you want. You know,
Yeah.
and that is it is so frustrating, but it's true. It's very, very true. Um, and I'd love to know your take on this as well.
Well, obviously, it's really relevant to what's going on now. But I think it makes it more personal.
Mhm.
We're talking about like who's it affects everyone. So uh, it calls into question, where's the real crime here?
Yeah.
Yes, someone was killed, but who really killed who first? The health insurance kill you first. They
Mhm.
do it legally through denial of medicine procedures that will save your life. So they're really killers, but they get away with it.
Mhm.
And someone who just takes a direct approach is convicted or put into jail.
Mhm.
So it just calls into question for me, where's the real crime here? Where's the real criminal?
Mhm.
And why are we not doing anything about the people that are really provoking this, making this happen? And
Mhm.
why do we live in a country where it's the richest country in the world? Do you know that if you took all the money of the billionaires and you divided it equally among all the citizens of America, every single one person would have $144,000.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, this is how much money the wealthy has in this, and that they're only 1%.
Yep.
So I think the health system is a symptom of the problem, but it's so systemic.
Mhm.
It's like a cancer that's metastasized. It's in the bones.
Mhm.
So there aren't really any answers in this play, but I think it's important to, talk about the problems.
Yeah.
That's the beginning. We have to talk about the problems and just understand, that the bad guy is not always the bad guy. The killer's not always the killer.
Mhm. Thank you. And I agree. I think the hard part of it is I think that there are solutions. And I don't think that these solutions are pie in the sky or unrealistic or however one side chooses to paint it. I tend to think it's very, as artists, we love our words. Words are the most precious tools in the world. We find them to be very important. But they are really blunt instruments, aren't they? Because they are not, because they can be used against us. They can be twisted to mean different things. Um, it's not the words that matter. It is what the words mean, how they make you feel, how you receive them. It's that ability to find the truth that exists. I think there is a truth that exists within us that we can feel. It's like a gut feeling. It's like an animal instinct, not so maybe not even an intellectual exercise of what is right and what is wrong. You know, a society, uh, the strength of a society is not measured by the rising stock market or the amount of bombs that we have that we can drop on people's heads or the amount of billionaires per capita. The strength of the society is within the welfare and the well-being of the people. I always like to say our theater company, TBTB, we are only as good as the artists that we work with, that create our work, that create our art, that elevate us, that elevate our platform. That is the most important thing. And that goes double for our society, our country. And if we don't have a country that is thinking in those terms, we are failing. We've never really quite gotten it right because we give into the baser instincts of greed and I need more, and I have to, my strength is shown by the fact that I have more than anybody else. So thank you. I saved you for last, Chris Hurt, because first of all, I love you dearly, and I know you and I have commiserated many, many times about the state of our world and how you know, as I say this, I look at my photo of Don Quixote and the idea of how we need to see life as it should be, not as it is. So tell me about your impression of this work that you helped to create.
Well, I think I mean, I have opinions about Luigi Mangione and the how health insurance works in this country and everything. But I think that the interesting thing that Chris sort of took an extra step in is, well, what do you do about it?
Mhm.
And you can have sort of extreme ideas and one is that I can't do anything about it. That's and the other one is I can get a gun and go shoot somebody and who is responsible for a lot of the bad things that are going on. But I think there's a lot of other sort of questions, and I think Chris develops them sort of with me and Orlean in our discussions about and the sort of clear uh, uh, options are I'm sort of a proponent of keep the noise out, stay in your lane, try, do the best you can at your job. It may not solve all the problems, but it's going to solve this problem right now.
Mhm.
And Orlean is definitely more of a no. This has a much bigger context. If you just stay in your lane and if you just solve this one problem, it's just going to solve this one little teeny problem and not more than that.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting to think about, well, what can I do? And as an activist, maybe not as an activist, but as a voter, maybe as that there are things
Mhm.
when your job becomes to do something about this, which I mean, our jobs don't always, do that. But
Mhm.
when it is, what do you do? How much do you do? How much do you, stay in your lane or uh, think about the bigger context and act on that basis? So I thought that was very, very interesting. A
Mhm.
really interesting way to look at this in a way that I had not in the year that I've known about this.
Mhm. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. If nothing else, if for those who are viewing this play, seeing this play, or experiencing it for the first time, thinking that it has, it's a very heavy political play. I tend to think of it not. Let's try to not think of it in terms of politics. Let's think of it in terms of a morality and in terms
Yeah.
of how we,
What is
how
the ethical way to act if you're in this situation?
yeah, how we move forward as a society. What will benefit the most of us in this case? What is best for the needs of the many, as opposed to the needs of the very few? And it is certainly going to be an ongoing issue that we will probably never solve. But I think the more we have open, honest communication without the noise, I agree, there is way too much noise, and the noise level has gotten awful. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't want to go on about social media, but that is part of the problem. There's just too much. And this, what we have done tonight, is more to me to the heart of provoking thought, provoking a response that inside you wrestle with it and say, okay, I think this, and usually it's going to be tempered in a different way as opposed to what I'm told. So I'm so
I bet if you
grateful.
commissioned a full-length play from Chris Phillips, he would solve it.
I bet you he would,
He'd
because
solve the whole thing.
he's
Well,
that amazing,
know,
and I am not kidding you. And so are you all. I didn't even get into
I'll
talking
just
about Shakespeare. We'll
share
just
that.
sort of show of hands. Romeo a wimp? Romeo a wimp? Yes or no? Show of hands. All right. No, Romeo's
Typical.
not a wimp.
Oh,
too?
is Romeo a wimp? Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Romeo a wimp. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Fine. Okay, we got a unanimous decision here. Sorry, Romeo, you lose on that one. Sorry, there you go. We'll talk
Hey,
about
Nick,
that.
real quick.
Yeah.
Could I just mention that if you are interested in seeing maybe other healthcare systems, like in Germany or other countries where they pay a lot less and have longer life expectancies, I think it makes sense to like do a little investigating and see if maybe you want to think about other ways of looking at health insurance as opposed to a for-profit system. And I think that's a nice way to think about this play. Where are we failing our people? And even if you don't want to pay more for insurance and you don't have the empathy for sick people, which you could become, maybe just look at other countries and see how much less they're paying than you for their insurance.
Without saying that there's no perfect system, I agree with you 100%. I think
Yeah.
it has to be sort of rethought from the inside out. It's if we're basing a system on we've got billionaire people that own the pharmaceutical industry, billionaire people that own all of the insurance companies in the medical profession, and we're going to cater to them, as opposed to creating a system that says we're going to control the pharmaceutical company, we're going to control the insurance in that sense, and we are going to pay doctors on the amount of patients they cure as opposed to how many people you can get on a particular medicine. Then we are really making some real difference. Okay, I think that's the difference between us and many of the other healthcare systems. Will that ever change? Well, I don't know. As long as people think that it's got to be this, or if it's not capitalist, it's communist. And I think,
Nick, of course it can change. Of
yeah,
course it can. Let's
yeah.
end on some hope.
No. I'm not saying it can't. I'm saying we need to transcend. And that is
Yes.
my answer, and that is where I leave it all with you for now. But I want to talk to you about more of this on the second show. I want to give you at least 5 more minutes to take a little bit of a break because you guys are so wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for your incredible show. Thank you all for joining us. We hope that you will continue to join us every night this week. We have such a great group of shows. First of all, we have this show again at 8:30 on Facebook. So please go to our Facebook page, and you'll get to see this all over again. This show definitely deserves a second viewing, and I hope that you'll come and see it. Tomorrow night, we have a really wonderful show written by Farida Pasha. Farida has worked with us for several years right now as a writer, as an actor. She's just brilliant. She wrote a really wonderful piece called Drifters, and that is what we're going to be doing tomorrow night, 7:30 right here, also again at 8:30. That play was directed by Anne-Marie Morelli, wonderful company member. I'm a little partial. She also happens to be my wife. And we have a really wonderful cast. Rihanna Basor, Keith Murphy DeConcini, and yes, you guessed it, right here, Jennifer Bradley is going to be in that one. So you're going to get to see her acting chops. So I hope you'll tune in tomorrow night, 7:30 to watch Farida Pasha's Drifters. Thank you all again. Please go to our website to check out what we're doing. If you really like what we're doing, click the donate button. Really support us and become a partner in our art, because when you do become a partner in our art, that we take that very seriously. We're just so grateful to you for being with us. So thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and hopefully we'll see you in a few minutes on Facebook.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Have a wonderful night, you all. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, come on.
Feel free to take a break, everyone. I'm still waiting for the stream to end. I'll take care of it.